All praise be to the Most High Yah, to the 12 tribes of Israel scattered abroad but not destroyed. We give praise to the Most High Yahuwah, our Father, our Abba, our Keeper, our Maker, our Creator.
Yes.
He is the King of Kings,
Yes,
Lord of Lords.
Yes, He is.
He is our atonement. His Son, Yeshua, our atonement Lamb, our righteous King, and our holy Judge. We give you praise. We want to welcome each and every one of you to the Awakening Remnant Coalition, Dallas. We just want to give y'all the praise today. I want to thank Sister Rita for bringing in a spirit of worship into this place.
Exactly.
Something that is
Hallelujah.
that we need.
Right.
We have forgotten how to worship as Yahudah.
Exactly.
We are Yahudah, which means praise in Hebrew, in our language. But Yahudah has forgotten to praise. We have forgotten how to open up our mouths and send out supplication to the Most High Yah. We have forgotten how to lift our voice before men and give praise to our Abba Father, to Yah, the Most High. So we just want to start by saying, thank you, Yah. Torah. Thank you, Yah. If you made it here and you went through a hard week of work, we want to say Torah. If you are here and you went through aches and pains, we want to say Torah. Yah, we want to give you honor and praise, because if it was not for you, we would not have anything. We would still be sick. We would still be in our deathbeds. But it was not for Yah Elohim, who came down in the form of the Word and breathed life back into Yasharel and came and redeemed us from the hands of death. Do you understand that we were just dead men walking until our Redeemer, our kindred Redeemer, Yeshua HaMashiach, came down and breathed life back into Yasharel and brought us back to a state to where we could be redeemed by the Most High.
Yes.
Oh, hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Today, we want to touch on a subject. If you can't hear us, if you can hear us on YouTube Live, please let us know if you can hear us. If you can't, we're going to just press forward, because we can't let the word die down for those who are in the house. So what we want to touch today subject, we're going to come out of Deuteronomy chapter 22. We're going to start at the 13th verse, and we're going to walk all the way down to the end of the verse 30. We want to touch the subject today. Is sex marriage? I want to ask this question because this is a push-button topic in Yasharel right now. Is sex marriage? And if sex is marriage, then we want to ask some more questions. If sex is marriage, then why do we have whores, concubines, virgins, brides, and wives? Hallelujah.
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 All right, so when we get started today, we're going to have Brother Rod, Elder Rod, to go ahead and start with scripture, starting in Deuteronomy 22, verse 13. And I will stop you. We'll go through each verse.
Deuteronomy 22, beginning at verse 13. If any man take a wife and go in unto her, and hate her, and give occasions of speech against her, and bring up an evil name upon her, and say, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not a maid, then shall the father of the damsel and her mother take and bring forth the tokens of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father shall say unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to wife, and he hateth her. And lo, he had given occasions of speech against her, saying, I found not thy daughter a maid. And yet these are the tokens of my daughter's virginity. And they shall spread the cloth before the elders of the city. And the elders of that city shall take that man and chastise him. And they shall amends him in 100 shekels of silver, and give them unto the father of the damsel, because he hath brought up an evil name upon a virgin of Yasharel. And she shall be his wife, and he may not put her away all his days.
Stop there. We're going to cover these first 7 verses. We're going to cover these first 7 verses real quick. First things first, I want to ask the body right now, when you hear the word wife, I want you to tell me, what do you see? What do you believe a wife is? This is an open dialogue, so we're not waiting for me to preach no message. So I want everybody to be involved.
Online, right? Because the question's open online too, right?
Right.
Okay.
Anybody? What do you think a wife is?
A helper.
What is
Him.
to who?
To the husband.
Okay. So a wife is a helper to the husband. Yes, mother.
I think a wife is also a helper, but one who takes the seed from the husband and causes it to grow and be nurtured in Yah and his teachings.
Hallelujah.
Hallelujah.
Anybody else?
That's good.
That's good.
That's a good answer.
Anybody? Let's go to the word wife. Let's look at the Hebrew word wife. I'm going to give you several words for the word wife. And I'm going to give you I'm going to give you one word for the word wife. And I'm going to give you several places you can look for it. Let's do it like that. This word wife, anash, is in the Strong's Concordance. It would be word 5389. 5389. In the Hebrew, it is spelled, because this is one of those misspoken and misspelled words all the time. So I'm going to do it in Paleo because I really don't have time to do it in modern script. It'll just take too long. Forgive me if I spelled it wrong. Aleph, Nun, Shin. This is the 3-letter root of this word. I'm letting you know now these are roots. I will give you the whole spelling of the word, but I want to give you the root first. This word has no 2-letter root. This word is a 3-letter root. And so I got it up. Anybody know how to pronounce this in Hebrew? No M. Nash. Anash. Anash. This word anash The basic Hebraic root means, in the abstract, it means to be sick. This is the masculine form of the word. It means to be sick, and it also means man. To change this masculine to a feminine, what's added? The letter Hey is added to the end to change the masculine to a feminine. It would be pronounced, I'm going to put the pronunciation up at the top. Anasha. What's Aleph? Represented by the ox head, strong leader. Noon, represented by the sprouting seed. Shin, represented by the gashing of teeth. And Hey, to behold. This is the word wife in Hebrew. What does it mean? Anybody?
The strong man is consumed.
The strong man's seed is what?
It's consumed. It's sick, weak.
Why is that? Give me an idea.
It's incomplete.
There we go.
It's incomplete.
There is something about the man that is incomplete. When we look in Genesis chapter 3, what did we talk about in Genesis chapter 3? When we talked about the creating of a man, what did he say?
He needed a helpmate.
So,
Chapter 2:18.
Help suitable women appropriate.
That's right,
Not
yeah.
mate, because she's more than that.
That's right. She's more than just a mate.
That's
She's
a mate.
exactly.
so what is she?
That's a whore, if you're just a mate.
What is she? She is someone that is what? Suitable,
Exactly. Suitable.
Or inappropriate.
appropriate, someone that is balancing
That's right. That's right.
to the man. You don't take a queen and marry her to a farmer.
That's right.
It's not suitable or it don't match.
It don't match.
She ain't gonna put her hands in the dirt. You remember when back in the day when people say you marry above your station?
That's right. That's the whole thing. Who was Moses? That's why Miriam came against Moses,
Why?
because he married a woman of a lesser status.
We don't marry above or out of our stations in Yasharel. We marry into our stations so that we can have harmony in our homes. Because if a woman knows how to work a plow, when her husband falls short, she can grab hold to the plow. If a woman knows what it takes to raise a garden, she will bring the seed out as the husband plows the rows. And she will walk behind him throwing the seed in the dirt. In ministry, that is why when you teach as a teacher, you have to have a wife that is suitable for the ministry, who is going to walk along with you, who is going to walk beside you and help you tend to the garden.
That's right.
Because the sheep don't, or tend to the flock. The flock does not just lean upon me. It leans upon her as well. And her job is to ease the pressure that is put on me by the flock
Exactly.
off of me.
Exactly.
Yes, I have elder brothers that do that too. But the biggest thing is that my wife is there, that when the stress and the strain of ministry becomes too hard,
right.
she's there for me to lay my head in her lap and to be comforted and to be kept. I know it doesn't sound the most masculine thing, And us in Israel, we want to be all these big hard dudes. But we have these moments when we need to be consoled.
That's right.
When we need to be into ourselves. Men ain't nothing but big babies. Men ain't nothing but big boys.
Hallelujah.
Say it again.
That's right.
Right.
Y'all miss it. We ain't nothing but big boys.
That's right. That's right.
We just done exchanged our toys. We done exchanged our Tonka trucks
Yep.
for Ford trucks.
That's right. Once you put gas in.
Yeah, ones that you put gas in. We done replaced our G.I. Joe figures with our friends.
That's right. That's right.
So we need a woman or someone suited for us that can help us tend to our business as a man. It's hard being a man without a helpmeet, without someone suited for you. Relationships are important in Yesharel. Why are relationships important? Because we function in a contractual base.
That's right.
Do we understand that when Adam took Eve as his helpmeet, that they entered into contract together?
That's right.
So, the argument in Yasharel is that I can find a woman, I can sleep with this woman, and she immediately is my wife.
Exactly. No. No.
This is the argument. And this is what some camps push. Why would, if I slept with any woman in this assembly, why would she not be my wife?
There's no contract. She had number one. There's no covenant. There's no covenant.
Contract.
False contract.
That's right.
You have went into contract under false pretense.
That's right.
When you sleep with, brother Craig, you just said a mouthful. When you go into a relationship, an intimate relationship with a woman without the intent of entering into lawful contract,
That's right.
you have gone into her with false pretense,
That's right.
which has done what to our sister?
Defiled it.
So, when these brothers have come to you and have said, hey, let's just go ahead and have sex, and you're my wife, it's a bald-faced lie. You have just now been defiled, and you are now a whore.
That's right. That's right.
I want you to think about this. Because, brothers, this goes on you too. Listen. Yisrael is the apple of the Most High's eye.
Right.
When he pulled us out and he decided that he would separate us from the nations. So when he saved Noah and put him on the ark, his plan was out of the 3 sons of Noah to procreate a bride for himself, in whom a righteous seed could come through to save the world. What we have forgotten is that the ark did not save the world. It was just a vehicle to carry seed.
That's right. That's right.
Hold on. Let me say this again. The ark is not what saved mankind. The ark was just a vehicle to carry the seed that would save mankind.
Hallelujah.
So we revisit this fact that we are messianic by nature,
right.
because we knew in the beginning that there had to be a redeemer for Yasharel.
That's right.
Because sin had caused us to fall away from the Most High. Why do you think Enoch got carried away? Because Enoch could not stay in this world and live in his state because he walked with the Most High. So he took his grandson and carried his family and his seed in an ark and took them and saved them from the cleansing of the world. Why was the world cleansed in water? Because when you are, okay, I'm gonna trip you out when I tell you this. Here we go. What's the first thing you do as a man when two men meet to do a contract? No, there's something else we do in Israel. The first thing men do when they meet to do contract, they come into a room. They wash their hands and they wash their feet. They enter into a room with clean hands and clean feet. They sit down at a table or they stand around in a group. And they go into a contract together. They speak over a meal. Bread is broken.
That's right.
So when a man is seeking a wife,
He would do that with the father.
he goes first to the father.
Right.
This is how we know that sex ain't marriage. Because first things first, you ain't went to the father.
He went to the father. That's right. They have not with the father.
A lot of us have not went to the earthly father of this girl or this woman or the heavenly father before we have entered into this lustful, unbinding contract. When we go before the father has demands of us.
That's right. Meeting
As husbands. Y'all don't get this. The father has a demand for us as husbands. Well, let's break down some demands that the father has. Before Adam went to the Most High Yah to receive Eve, what had Adam done? Talk to me, people.
husbandry.
He went to the father.
But what did he do before he ever went to the father?
He prayed.
He did what?
Built the shelter,
He built something. What else did he do?
prepared the way for his wife.
What else did he do? There's something else.
Husbandry. He plowed the land.
Adam had a job. Let's get it out there. Adam had a job. Adam had responsibility. Adam had to prove himself worthy of what it was he was going to receive from the Father.
It's a qualifying
Gotta
job.
read that precept.
So it wasn't just any job.
Yes.
It's specific of husbandry.
That's right.
Because if you can't keep this alive, you will definitely not keep
That's
it
right.
alive.
That's right.
So what I tell the sisters in our fellowship, if a man is intending on courting you, before you give him a kiss, give him a flower. And tell him, you have to watch this flower and keep this flower or this ivy, this plant alive for at least a year before I will even consider you. Because if a man can't touch nothing in the soil, he don't have no business touching you.
That's right.
You asked earlier, what is marriage? Well, marriage is a covenant between, a woman has a covenant between, the husband, the soon-to-be husband, or the husband and the father. When we come into this, we also got to ask ourselves today, is it a legal marriage or is it a lawful marriage? And then when you find that husband and you go into it and have a lawful marriage, but before you do that, you gotta also ask, take away money, home, just take away the job, remove that today. Can you still support this woman? Can you feed her? Can you house her? But today, no. Men today cannot.
That's a good premise. Let's look at it from also before we get to the premise of with the man and the woman becoming one. There's already an obligation of the father to protect his daughter. There's a covenant between the father and the daughter first and foremost. So before you can even get to the marriage of a husband and a wife, there's a marriage between the father and the daughter. Just like we have a marriage between our father, right? you're daughters before you become brides. You have to be daughters before you become brides. You know what I'm saying? The father, when he's negotiating the terms of this agreement with that potential husband, he want to make sure this man is like him, like we represented the Most High,
Or better.
or better,
To release her from his covenant.
to release her from his covenant to his covenant.
So look at this. If you had two companies, so let's say Exxon and BP, and Exxon had a subsidiary company. Let's just say, even though I know for a fact it's not, but let's just use Chevron. Let's say Chevron then decided that BP decided that they wanted to take ownership of Chevron. There are certain contracts and certain demands that the parent company is going to have when you purchase this subsidiary company. Because first things first, my brand is my brand.
That's right.
Do you understand that the reason why defilement was looked upon so poorly in Israel and why women were held to a different standard as the men was because our righteousness was cleaving to the backs of our sisters?
That's right.
Y'all don't get it.
Yeah.
Do you understand that if a sister, look, first of all, if we look at the word virgin, which we're going to do later, do you know virginity has nothing to do with sex? Nothing. Nothing. The word virgin has nothing. No sexual connotation at all. Because in Israel, we did not look at a woman's virginity in the process. Why? Because it was understood that every woman in Israel was a virtuous woman.
Exactly. Exactly.
So we did not have to put that into the understanding.
It's already implied.
It was an implied state that the women of Yasharel were virgins, were not defiled.
Right.
This is why the word for woman and wife get intertwined, because the woman's standard is the same as a wife's standard, because it's a position and status. When you enter womanhood, you are now suitable or probably to be a wife. And so you should be a virgin. The only time they change your status is if you were defiled.
That's right.
And then you got
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Do you understand that the act of sex is actually a defilement on the woman, even in a lawful state? Case in point, can we have sex on the Shabbat?
No.
Because we both end up being what? Unclean to win. We always end up being unclean until the evening.
That's right.
But it is how sex is handled in the relationship that brings us into a righteous state. So, going over verses, Deuteronomy 22, verse 13. It says, if a man takes a wife and goes into her and hates her and gives occasion of speech against her and brings up an evil name upon her. Remember what I said. The name, the brand, your name was important. Remember that the woman's name always had a bet. I mean, a bet on the end of it, which meant daughter of, and whoever her father was.
That's right.
So they didn't just say, do you know LaShawn down there? LaShawn Hoish. No, they would say LaShawn Bar,
Daughter of.
LaShawn, the daughter of,
Exactly.
is Horish,
That's right.
or is a hoe. And so that put an imprint not only on her, but a stain on who? And so if we're Yasharel, we are Yasharel, Bar, and Ben who? Yahuwah.
That's right.
And so our conduct, good or bad, is a
Stain on the most.
stain on the Yah.
That's right.
That's why That's why he divorced us.
That's right.
Because our very actions was a stain on his very name.
That's right. And his character.
His name is his character. That's why we tell you be careful what you name your kids.
His reputation. That's right.
His very reputation. If this is a holy and a righteous people, like you said, but they ain't all this whoredom, he don't want to be questioned about our position. So going back to where we were, so when it spoke evil upon his name, and then it says, I took this woman, and when I came to her, I found her not to be a maid. Then the father of the damsel and her mother bring forth a token of the damsel's virginity unto the elders of the city in the gate. And the damsel's father says unto the elders, I gave my daughter unto this man to be his wife, and he hates her. And lo, he has given occasion of speech against her, saying, I found your daughter a maid, and yet this are the tokens of your daughter's virginity. And they spread, listen to me, they spread the cloth before the elders of the city, and the elders of the city shall take that man and chasten him. Listen, when you enter into contract, there is always something that seals the deal.
That's right.
Always. Listen, the man is going to have to bring forth what? A dowry.
That's right.
Some token. What was Adam's dowry for Eve? Adam paid with a rib. Shalem, a side, his side. He paid with his salim. He didn't have occasion against her because when he brought her to her, what did he say? Bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. He was straight. But when this man spoke evil upon a daughter of Zion or a daughter of Yasharel, and she was not at fault, they brought forth the sheep. The parents kept the sheet after the wedding as a token to show that their daughter had not been defiled, for one, and what? To prove that we raised a righteous daughter.
And to prove a blood covenant.
That's right. That's right. It's a blood covenant.
So when we also look at people and they say, I don't believe in Yahamashiach, I don't believe in Yeshua, and I laugh at him because he went through everything that the bride was supposed to do in redeeming us.
That's right. That's right.
What did he leave in the tomb? The sheep.
The sheep, the blood. Right. Hallelujah.
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 Right.
Brother Ross, pick up there. Pick up at 19. Now, no, hold on. We won't pick up at 19. Now, listen. If it's found that the daughter was still was clean, had not been defiled, a penalty then was charged to the man. Do you understand that you, even in a contractual base, that if you don't like what you're getting, you can't renege on the deal?
That's right.
We got these brothers right now that get a hair in their butt and want to get rid of the woman. I want to get rid of her. What did she do? Well, you should have known this going into the relationship.
Right.
We got to get out of this habit of defiling these sisters and then putting them away.
Put them away. Exactly.
This marriage contract is law-abiding. It's lawful before the eyes of the Most High Yah. There are only certain conditions that are lawful to put these sisters away. And we putting them away because we got a hair in our butt. I came home and there wasn't no food cooked. She don't listen. Well, you need, first of all, are you righteous? Most women I've come to realize in life don't listen to men that ain't righteous.
That's right.
When they look at a man and they don't feel like he's righteous, or feel like he's upright, or feel like he's trying to take care of them, they don't listen to him. Unless they're rebellious. And we have some sisters in our midst, in Yasharel, that are rebellious, that are feminists, that go through this situation where they think that they want to operate outside of positioning or outside of function. Remember, when the Most High set everything into motion, it was either Tov or Ra. Man has a function that is good and a function that's bad. So does woman. And we're not saying that you are less than us. But what we're saying is there is a position that you are supposed to be in and that you function in. I don't function in your position, so you can't function in mine. That's really, if you really, I should go back. If you really look at chapter 22 in its entirety, it's talking about men and women functioning outside of their position, even though it uses clothes. So if you read from 22:1 to 13, and it starts talking about women dressing in the attire of a man and man dressing in the attire of a woman, it's talking about positions. It's really not talking about clothes. We get it twisted. She got on pants. No, Negro, we ain't talking about pants.
Exactly. She's
We're not talking
she's
about
doing a man's business.
right. She's doing a man's business.
That's right.
She put on a man's pants. Really, she did. She put on his business.
That's right.
A woman ain't supposed to handle the business of a man, nor is a man supposed to handle the business of a woman.
That's right.
I'm gonna be a stay-at-home daddy, and I'm gonna take care of the kids while my wife work. Negro, that ain't Torah. That ain't even Israel. Scripture tells us if a man don't work,
He don't eat.
he don't eat. So that means he didn't tell Eve to put her hands on the plow when he was handing out punishments. He told the man that he would have to work by the sweat of his brow all the days of his life, and in the land he would get thorns and thistles. He didn't tell that to her. What he told her, you gonna in your childbirth,
That's right.
you gonna have pain.
Pain. That's right.
So it was already understood that the woman's job was not to hit the bricks. That's one of my biggest regrets, that my wife has to get up and hit a clock for us to make it. Oh yeah, we got this, but this can go.
That's right.
And my regret is still going to be there. So my first job as a husband, coming into the knowledge of the truth, is I got to get her off a job.
That's right. That's right.
And she need to work for me.
Right. That's right. Hallelujah. Come on, say it. Hallelujah. That's right.
She need to work for my corporation.
That's right.
You understood? Not for them, but for our corporation
That's right. That's right.
that we build together.
That's right.
All right. So, if he was, then when the man is found to be wrong, the elders beat his tail. Basically, this is what the scripture's saying. At this point, the elders put them paws on him,
That's right.
get some back right out this guy, and then they charge him 100 shekels of silver. I don't know what happens. It don't go into detail if this brother don't have 100 shekels of silver. But I figure after the elders of the city finish putting their paws on him, he gonna wish he had it, or he gonna find it. That way then the wife is redeemed, because then this man has to keep her forever. Ever, ever. Which means no matter what she does then in the future, he's stuck. Or he gonna catch them paws again.
He won't be lying no more, right?
No, he won't be lying no more. Let's go to, okay. So, I want to look at this word, let's see. Let's go to 21.
Okay, we didn't read 20. So we need to
Okay,
read
go to 20.
Deuteronomy 22, verse 20. But if this thing be true, and the tokens of virginity be not found for the damsel, then they shall bring out the damsel to the door of her father's house, and the men of the city shall stone her with stones that she die, because she hath wrought folly in Israel and Yasharel, to play the whore in her father's house. So shalt thou put away evil from among you.
Okay. So, if the token was then taken and it was no blood on the sheet, then this girl, let me tell y'all, this is why women need to think about giving away their cookies. Because there is a penalty to this. There's a penalty. And the crazy part is, you don't think these penalties are being carried out now?
Oh, yeah.
Hold on, I want you to think about this. You ain't getting stoned by man now, because we the ones defiling you, so it don't matter to us. But the Most High is allowing situations to happen to our sisters that are worse than these stones.
Right.
Y'all having babies by misfits and got to deal with a misfit for the rest of your life because you couldn't hold on to that which was dear and sacred to you. We've gotten to the point that in our homes, we don't even want to respect the father. And this is what the girl's virginity was. It was a token of respect to the father. It was saying, Dad, thank you for taking care of me all these years. And when you give me away, I know that my importance to you is this. Look, men wanted sons. Men wanted sons to carry their name. But they needed daughters to amass what?
Wealth.
Men got rich through their daughters.
This is why when they looked for a suitable man for their daughters, because they didn't want to lose that inheritance.
When a man takes on a wife, he has to then pay a dowry or a purchase price. He's not buying the woman. Listen, y'all, let's get this straight. Because in Israel, we think that you are purchasing the woman.
Exactly.
You are not purchasing the woman.
Exactly.
She becomes property under you to the contract, but she is not purchased by you. Because look, who still has sole ownership of the woman? Huh? The father still has the right to take back his property.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
When you mistreat the daughters of Zion, the fathers have the right to take back their property.
This Western civilization got us all messed up.
Oh, yeah.
Hold on. What a lot of people don't realize is, it ain't that they got it twisted. They twisted you because they still operating it.
All messed up.
Yeah, you got us all messed up because they still operating this.
It's not a Western tradition because when it happened, there was no Western tradition.
Yeah.
Well, modern technology.
Yeah, there you go.
Western thing, just disobedience.
That's right.
See, you're right. Yes.
Yeah.
So this is what happens. When a woman goes into the relationship, they wash their hands, they wash their feet. They take the bowls outside, they sit and break bread, they have a meal. They sit down and talk over what is lawful and what is unlawful in this contract. The woman has rights in the contract. Don't get it twisted. You don't have all the rights, brothers.
That's right.
When you sit down and do a lawful contract, the woman has contractual rights.
That's right.
And if you do not abide by the contract, she can then pull out.
That's right. That's right.
But if you don't go by the contract, the father's going to get her out. Do you understand that?
Break body, family. When you understand the parables of Yeshua HaMashiach, that's exactly what he's doing. That's exactly what he's doing. He's following Torah. He's paying the bride price. He's paying the dowry for the bride, right? Even he's sitting down, he said, if I knock at the door, any man would open the door, I'm gonna sup with them. He wanna sit down and he wanna negotiate this contract. You know? But again, our people just, the adversary has taken our records again and just, like the sister said, have changed everything. But again, he walked our heads with it,
Okay. So once they finish drawing out the contract and they come to an agreement that is suitable not only for the husband, but suitable for the bride-to-be, they go through what? A betrothal period, where they are now contractually bound. Listen, you were that man's wife before you ever consummated.
That's right.
So this right here debunks that thing that sex is marriage. Because under contract, you have a certain period of time either to do what? Pay the dowry. So let's go back to our father Yaakov. Yaakov had 7 years that he had to pay for who? And 7 years that he had to pay for? So he had to work for Laban how many years? 14 years. In them 14 years, he got got Leah first, then got Rachel. Okay. That was the contract drawn out between him and Laban. There was more. There was more. There was more in this.
I'm trying to read it till I can see it.
Don't worry about it. We'll touch it whenever we get a chance. Then, listen to me closely. Then the next step that we had to go through, once we got this thing fixed out and figured out, then they went and they made up a wedding bed. After all the dowries were paid, there was a wedding bed made. They entered into the room with how many witnesses outside the door? 2. Have to have 2 witnesses. So they go into the marriage chamber. They close the door. Baby, go get that paperwork and pass it out for me. They go in and they consummate. After the wedding is consummated, which means everything is now bound, because now you have defiled my property. You have defiled my daughter. She now is your property according to the contract. According to the contract, this woman is now mine. I have busted her hymen. She has bled and has given me the token in her sheet. And now she belongs to me as my bride.
Can we edify what you said earlier, Ak, about the if the father didn't agree with the wedding, the marriage?
Go.
Let's we're gonna go to Exodus. Let's go to Exodus chapter 22 and read verse 16. Read chapter 16. 22:16. Yeah, 22:16. When you get that, let me say shalom to a few people online. Brother Matt, shalom, Brother Matt. There's Sister Shona. Lady Rara. I say shalom to you guys. Say shalom.
Shalom.
Exodus 22:16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife.
Good. Why are you always messing with stuff?
You see that, man?
Always messing with stuff.
Let's go back. I don't know how I did it again.
Always messing with something. This stuff right
See that, man? So what you got right there? Okay, yeah. This is good.
Okay, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brother Ryan. We'll continue. We're not going to let that stop. Let's keep continuing.
Let's keep going.
Keep going?
Yeah.
Keep on.
Okay.
I just want to read one with the next. Did you read 16 and 17? Just go to read 17 there. Go to read verse 17.
Okay, let me go back to 16 again. Exodus 22, verse 16 and 17. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins.
There you go. See, edifying that, letting you know if the father didn't agree with this, if the man, because the father could have had future plans for her to be married to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? So the father, if the father didn't agree with this, then there would be no marriage. Okay.
This
That's
is
it.
also the remedy for these mistakes.
There you go. There
And
you
it
go.
wasn't all in or all out. So if you did engage in these things, he left a remedy for you to go and fix your mistake.
That's right.
If you got heated and your mind got the best of you, so go back and talk to the father and probably be in good standing so that he can give you the approval. But if you didn't get it, well, there was still an answer for that.
Just hit record again. Just hit it.
Is that here recorded?
No, don't go into that. Just record another one, and we'll fix it.
Okay. So we can name it. We can rename it.
No. Just go live.
Let's put it back.
Resume. Okay.
All right.
That's how you fix it.
Okay. So basically, this is the deal. When a woman was defiled, right? And or when a woman was defiled and she wasn't betrothed to anybody, then a man would have to pay remedy.
That's right.
Exodus 16. Okay, but I want to touch something. I want to touch something. One of you real smart Hebrews in here, I want y'all to go and I want you to look at the Exodus story of us coming out of Egypt. This is where I could get the understanding of the father revoking his gift on the man and bringing his daughter back to himself. Here we go. I'm going to explain it, and then when somebody finds the scripture, we're going to go ahead and read over it. So, when Yasharel was in Egypt, and Yasharel was in Egypt by Joseph, and Joseph had set up a monarchy in Egypt, and Yasharel was allowed to be in Goshen. And Goshen was where we grew and we started to expand as a people. When Egypt, the Egyptians, when the Mizrahims looked at us and became fearful of us and forgot about Joseph, what did they do? They put hard taskmasters over us. And so we cried out to the Most High Yah, correct? So we were married into Egypt. Do you understand that? That's what people don't understand. When we went in there, that's why, this is why Ephraim and Manasseh got an inheritance.
That's right.
Because we had married in with the Egyptians.
That's right. That's right.
But when they violated the contract and forgot about Joseph, the Most High then pulled us out of the contract because they were invalid.
Well, correct me if I'm wrong.
Go ahead.
There was another Pharaoh.
Right.
So therefore, the other Pharaoh was illegitimate.
Right.
Also.
To add to what you're saying, see, a lot of people don't know when in the scriptures it says that this was a Pharaoh that did not know him.
Exactly.
That's what he's saying, because to know from a Hebrew custom means to be in covenant.
Right.
Exactly.
To be in covenant.
There was no contract.
So there's no contract.
They
Or
didn't
false
pass.
contract.
They didn't pass down the lineage and the heritage and all the information from when Yahushua did save the known world at that time. But that's Exodus 1 and 11.
Okay, Exodus 1 and 11. Let me explain something to you real quick. So in that vein, when it says that he did not know, it means that he did not have a contract with them.
That's right.
Yeah.
This king, so what we're trying to figure out is if this king was in this royal bloodline or not, because Egyptians kept records of everything.
Right.
Either they put it on a wall or they put it on a papyrus scroll. But they kept records of everything. You got something you want to say, Brother Craig?
Yes, I do.
Go ahead.
There was a war. So one pharaoh conquered the kingdom of Egypt. So therefore, there was a different contract. But there was another. Well, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Let's
No, I want you to
get
say.
back into that, but that it wasn't the same pharaoh, so it was the same contract.
So what we're basically saying is when Egypt went into war, they lost.
Right.
Another king took over
Right.
who did not have to keep that contract of the old king. And his fear of Israel was that they would outgrow them. And so being that he was not of Joseph's lineage, or he did not know of the contract between Israel and Joseph, he then applied work on them. Which then voided out the contract.
right.
That's why Yah sent Moshe to bring his people out. Just like a father would do if you void the contract concerning his daughter.
Which leads to something else.
Go ahead.
Moses was adopted. So therefore, there's another contract. So therefore, Moses replaced the contract that the other pharaoh stole.
And
That's
also,
what it looks like.
also received an adoption into that family. He ended up getting back his title to the people.
Right.
But he had to be, in that time, the redeemer.
Well,
Well, he didn't, they didn't know, the Pharaoh didn't know that he was actually adopted. He just thought that that was his daughter's son.
Right.
But because they hid that from him. That's why he
But in
became the
him,
prince of
his
Israel.
adoption capacity gives him, we're talking about heritage. right?
Yes, okay,
So
yes.
Heritage and
he didn't know
legal
how
right.
he was the son.
Right, he just knew he was
He
the
just
son.
knows he
Okay.
gets right.
Heritage and legal
He just knew
authority.
he was
Right.
right.
So what we're doing is a contract.
Yes, it is.
So we're stepping into a contract. So what happens is when the daughter adopted Moses into her family, and the Pharaoh accepted him as his own,
Yes.
he was then entitled
exactly.
to all the privileges and rights. So he replaced who? Yosef,
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
which redeemed Israel back to a position of righteousness. Which means when they put hard tasks on Israel, they still voided out a contract.
Wow.
So then the father came back, like I said, and redeemed his beloved or his children.
What most people don't realize, the same thing is going on right now, because in this covenant right here, in this contract, this is how you think this land was conquered. And they're breaking the contract and really don't even get it. It's the same thing happening right over again. All people just have to see it.
Virgin. Let's look up the word virgin real quick.
Brother, give me your hand.
Go ahead.
Let me add something real quick.
Take your time.
Let's be clear. According to Torah, the definition of a whore, since that's a part of our lesson, a part of our title, definition of a whore, according to Torah, is a woman, a sexually promiscuous woman or girl. A woman or a girl who is sexually active outside of the bound of marriage. That's the Torah, definition of a whore according to Torah. Yah told us that there should not be a whore of the children of Israel.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So when we see the word maid, it's the same thing as virgin. Virgin and maid are synonymous in Torah. So whether they use a Christian church and certain translators, they say, well, it didn't say virgin, it said maid. Well, they're the same thing. So that's a mute argument.
Once again, it is understood in all contractual understanding in Israel that the women are not defiled.
That's right. That's right.
Okay, so when you look up the word iron, look up one of the words for virgin. It is ayin lamed. This is a 2-letter root. I gotta make these very clear to y'all. These are 2-letter roots because y'all be wanting to check. Say the word.
Is it iron limit?
Yes. Allah.
Allah. So, yeah, most like, yeah.
Say it again.
La. And this means a young woman of a working age. A young woman of a working age. It also, the accepted meaning is someone that is able to work, and the concrete meaning of this word virgin is a yoke. Listen to me, a yoke. Strong's number, 5959 for those who want to go back and look in the Strong's Concordance. This is one word. Okay, now this is not the word used in Deuteronomy. Listen to me, this is not the word that is used for virgin in Deuteronomy 22. The scriptures that we're covering, it's not. This is the word. I want to give you this one first so you can see it, and I'm going to finish spelling it out real quick. So to the ayin and the lamed, you add a mem and a hey. So it's amaha. Yeah, that sounds right. Amaha. That's what it looks like in the Paleo script. This word means a yoke, once again, or work. And the definition breaks down to a woman at premium working age. Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the word virgin that was used in that script. This is going to be a harder one to write. That's why I saved this one for last. 2-letter root. Yeah, let me just write it in the Paleo. Bet. Tav. Okay, so the 2-letter root. Is bet and tav. Look it closely. Bet and tav. What is bet representation of?
A house.
A house. What is the letter tav represented of?
Makes it feminine, don't it?
Yeah,
Bas. Makes it feminine.
Yeah.
But it also means to stop or
Yes,
mark or
exactly.
place.
Yes.
Okay. Now, we're going to finish out this word. I wanted to give you the 2-letter root first. Now, the rest of it is then, lamed, hey. And it is pronounced, huh? Buthwala.
Water, yeah.
Buthwala. It is bet, tav, lamed, hey, betwala. And this means kind of like as of a virgin's loins. Okay? Virgin loins. It means a maid or a maiden. Because you can be married and still be a virgin. Just want y'all to understand this. This is why I'm telling you sex ain't marriage. Because once you sign this contract and y'all enter into this contract and you go through the betrothal period, you still somebody's wife. You just ain't consummated.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, do you know where we're at, Rod? Where were we?
I think we stopped at 21, I think.
20, we were
So when a
at
woman,
20, we read 21. We're at 22 right now.
okay, so when a woman was found disingenuous and she was not clean, she was stoned. Okay? I want you to understand this. There was a penalty. If you weren't righteous, if you hadn't been defiled, if you had been defiled, you were going to get stoned. That's why women guard your chastity. Guard it. Because it's not only a representation of yourself, it is a representation of the Father. Okay, go to the next verse.
We'll read 22.
Yeah, let's go. Let's make it happen.
If a man be found lying with a woman, this is verse 22. Deuteronomy 22, verse 22. If a man be found lying with a woman married to an husband, then they shall both of them die, both the man that lay with the woman and the woman. So shalt thou put away evil from Yasharel. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then ye shall bring them both out unto the gate of the city, and ye shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he had humbled his neighbor's wife.
Right.
So shall ye put away evil from among you.
Stop.
Stop. Read 23 again, because I want everybody to understand again, because it keeps trying to let us know that when a woman is betrothed, she's married. Just read it again.
If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed
She's a virgin and she's betrothed
unto her husband.
unto her husband.
So this, once again, kills this sex
It's
is
marriage.
marriage. She's already married. They just have not consummated. So listen, Rachel and Leah, during that 7-year period, were betrothed to Yaakov.
That's right.
But, and better not nobody sleep with them, because that is his wife.
That's right.
And if they had defiled her, guess what? He was getting stoned and she was getting them rocks.
If she didn't cry,
And she ain't cry out. They was, all of them was catching rocks.
That's right.
Catching them with their face.
Everywhere.
Usually the face. I'm gonna explain that to you. Usually in the stoning, okay, so let's go back to some customs real quick. Usually when people got stoned, they took you outside the city and they had this nice little hole in the ground, and they put you in that hole in the ground, and then they covered you up to your head.
That's right.
Oh, so that nothing else got hit
That's right.
in the face.
Put the little, yeah.
And then the men of the city walked by and dropped them rocks on you. Now, if they weren't in a hurry, and they wanted to make, usually they just throw you in a ditch and then they just sling them at you. But for the most part, they buried you neck deep and then commenced the chunking rocks and you catch them face blows. All right, let's go to okay, so if a woman that is betrothed is caught in the act of sleeping with a man, and they are both carried out, and they should both be stoned, right? Now let's go into the New Testament real quick. All my super brews that are here, I need y'all to find this scripture because I'm about to tell you something. Let's go back when the woman that had got caught in the very act of adultery. Let's find it. We're going to read it. But I'm going to go over the premise. So when Hamashiach was sitting there, John 8. Let's go to John 8. Go ahead and read it.
John chapter 8, beginning at verse 1. Yeshua went unto the Mount of Olives, and early in the morning he came again into the temple, and all the people came unto him, and he sat down and taught them. And the scribes and Pharisees brought unto him a woman taken in adultery. And when they had set her in the midst, they said unto him, Master, this woman was taken in adultery, in the very act. Now Moses in the law commanded us that such should be stoned. But what sayest thou?
Okay, so we just went over the precept for this. Now, why did Yeshua not stone the woman?
The man wasn't there.
Caught him in the act.
So if you were caught in the very act, where's the man? So I can't render righteous judgment because there's not both parties. One that defiled and one whom was defiled.
That's right.
So she received the pardon. Why? Because both of them should have called rocks.
That's right.
Does that make sense? That's why when I laugh at people when they say, I don't follow Messiah. Well, that's on you, tough. I'm done with you. We don't even need to talk. Because there's too much scripture. There's just too much scripture. Okay, let's go. Where are we at?
We're
24.
Okay, we're going to start at 24.
Actually 23.
Go to 23.
Deuteronomy 22, verse 23. If a damsel that is a virgin be betrothed unto a husband, and a man find her in the city and lie with her, then you shall bring them both out into the gate of that city, and you shall stone them with stones that they die. The damsel, because she cried not, being in the city, and the man, because he had humbled his neighbor's wife, so shalt thou put away evil from among you. But if a man find a betrothed damsel in the field, and the man force her and lie with her, then the man only that lay with her shall die.
Okay, now, whoever posed that question earlier on the chat about seeing stuff from the Father, wanting to know what scriptures we talked about, linking the Father, taking back his bride, or taking back ownership out of this contract. This is one of the scriptures that leads us there. Listen, go back into the story of us in in Exodus 1, where it talks about the Pharaoh and it talks about Yasharel. Yasharel was defiled inside of the city. So what does a damsel have to do when she is defiled in the city?
Cry out.
She has to cry out. So it doesn't mean that she sits there and she, woe is me. He took my goods. Oh no. No. She goes in. This
the one that did it.
This
Negro
right here. Him. It don't wait 20 years down the road. Oh, Bill Cosby put something in my drink and I messed around and got the pudding pop. No, it don't happen like that. In a real life situation, if the moment you are defiled is the moment that you must do what?
Cry out. Cry out.
So, why am I going into this? Hold on. I want to show y'all what the word defile means, because this is going to trip you out. I'm going to show you 2 definitions of the word defile, then we'll go back. Okay. Let's go to, okay, so I'm going to put the word defiled up, and I'm going to use the ED, past tense. I'm going to do it. And I am going to put the hay here too. Okay, I'm gonna draw a line to separate the 2-letter root. Okay, this is the first word for the being defiled. I gotta wave this around to my resident Hebrew speaker so they can give me proper pronunciation. Thama? 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 Thama. Somebody find Psalms. No, Psalms 60 and 8.
Psalm 16.
60 and 8?
Yes.
60 and 8, yes, Psalm 16 and 8.
Don't read it yet. Don't read it. Don't read it, because I don't want you to ruin this. This word thama, in the general Hebraic sense, means a container of water. A container of water.
What Hebrew number is that?
Strong's number, here we go.
Is it?
No, foul. Strong's number, I don't have it on that one. But go to these. 59.
Is it 5518? No, that's not it.
Hold on. I'll tell you right now. Hold on. What page does it say that word's on?
Because it's on
31.
Tama.
Cleaner.
Right. Tama. Cleaner and clean. 36. 36. There it is. The Strong's word for that is 2932
Rocket.
or 2933. Strong's numbers 2932 or 2933. This word means to be unclean or defiled, but it comes from the word, the picture of being a container which holds something, and the letter mem, which is water. So it means a container of water. The definition for this word is a bowl of water used to wash off dirt. Remember when we talked about the fathers meeting up, the husband and the father meeting up? They wash their hands, they wash their feet. That bowl was thama. Huh? Tama. That bowl was tama. It was dirty. It was unclean. It was defiled. Because we know when you wash your hands, the sediment off your hands falls to the bottom of the container and it lines the container even after the water's pouring out like your bathtub, then you got a ring on it, it's the foul. That's how a woman is when she's touched by a man. And when the water's washed away, she still has that film on her until she's clean again. Does that make sense? Okay, we went to this one. Now we're gonna go to the second one, which is my favorite one of all of them. Here's another word for defilement. And this is gonna make sense to a lot of people. Highlighter stopped working. Sorry. I'm going to separate the two-letter root. Ayin, lamed, lamed. Remember when something is written twice in Hebrew context, you got to pay very close attention to it.
That's right.
Okay, this word is Strong's words, and I'm gonna give them all to you. 2920, 2921, 5920, 5921, 5922. Monica, if you're in the room, please put those on the wall, on the thing. Strong's numbers 5920, 5921, and 5922. Ayin, lamed, lamed. And the word is pronounced aho, ow, ow, ow. This word in the Hebraic meaning, in its Hebraic form, this is my favorite one. God, I love this one. Yah is amazing how he does stuff. Even though I don't love defilement, I love how he put this.
It's concrete.
It's okay, so it means to work or to yoke, just like a man or a woman would be to work or to be yoked. That's, you're either a working age or you're not, okay? But let's put it like this. It means to experience, the staff. Or to work over another. As a mocking or abuse. So, what happened in Egypt? The Pharaoh defiled Israel because he did what? He made them experience the staff. He made Israel experience the staff. And he worked over them in a manner of abuse or mocking. Think about this. The definition in this book will trip you out. I'm going to break down the definition in this book. Anything that you do, okay, a lot of times, Israel, we defile ourselves and we don't even know it. Anything that we do as an occasion to mock someone or to prove a point, we've defiled ourselves. So if I say, I'm gonna prove that nigga brew wrong, and you go in your work to prove a person wrong, you've defiled yourself. Because your work was not done lawfully. Your work was done as a malice or as a way to prove or to mock someone else. When women say, I'm gonna be the baddest chick in the building, and they dress up and they look good for themselves to prove a point, they have defiled themselves because they done it as a mockery to everybody else. Brothers, when we hit the gym and we try to get all those muscles so we can look real good, not to be healthy, but so people will notice us, we have defiled ourselves. Because the word says that we work this thing in vain. As a mockery or as a abuse to somebody else. We walk in a state of defilement. And we as Hebrews got this the world's worst. Because we don't study for ourselves. We study a lot of times to prove how smart we are. Not to edify the body, but that people can come to us and say, nigga, you smart. Exactly. Hebrew, you smart. Hebrew, you own it. No. Everything you do should go back to edifying who? The Most High. Right. And so if your study is for you and not the Most High, then it's in vain. If you study like to get on the street corners and you in these camps and you on these street corners and you know this script, but you use this script as a weapon and not a rod of correction or to bring somebody in, you have defiled yourself even on the corners thinking that you preaching Yah.
Because you're giving yourself the glory, not giving the Most High.
Right. Your work should not be used as a weapon.
To bring in.
The staff of correction, listen, when David said your rod and your staff comforts me, he understood that he would go through periods of defilement. And his staff is what was going to bring him in. But the shepherd should not beat the hell, excuse my French, out of his sheep to bring them into correction. That's why there's a hook on that thing. Pull you in. Not wrap you upside the head. Any questions? Okay, let's finish.
You had Psalms, right?
Yeah, go to Psalms 60 and 8. Go ahead and read it.
Moab is my wash pot. Psalm 68.
Yes.
Over Edom will I cast out my shoe. Philistia, triumph thou because of me. Who will bring me into the strong city? Who will lead me into Edom? Wilt thou not, O Elohim, which had cast us off? And thou, O Elohim, which didst not go out with our armies? Give us help from trouble, for vain is the help of man.
Stop. So when the Most High talked about Moab being his wash pot, he was basically saying that Moab was defiled. And he did not want to deal with her. We are in the same position as Moab.
What a lot of people need to understand about the story with Moab. Matter of fact, we're in Deuteronomy, the 22nd chapter, and there's a great debate amongst Israel when you get to the 23rd chapter with Moab, right? Let's read Deuteronomy chapter 23, start off at verse 1.
Verse 1.
Yeah, start off at verse 1.
Deuteronomy 23, verse 1.
Yes, yes, sir.
He that is wounded in the stones or hath his privy member cut off.
Hold on,
Keep
stop
going.
right there. No, stop.
Take a break.
Stop. We need, excuse us. Woo. Okay, I'm back.
Go ahead, I.
Shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah.
Keep on going. I'm going to break this down for a second for you. Go ahead.
A bastard shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. Even to his 10th generation
Keep going.
shall he not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah. An Ammonite or a Moabite shall not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah.
Go ahead.
Even to their 10th generation shall they not enter into the congregation of Yahuwah forever.
Okay, stop right there. What a lot of people don't realize when you understand the history of the Moabites when we came out of Egypt, you know what I'm saying? They wanted to trip us up, and what they did, they used their women. And if when we read in Deuteronomy to the 22nd chapter, we see that there was no covenants, there was no contracts in these marriages. So when you understand when a man is into a woman without a covenant or contract, what happens is you have not only defiled yourself as a man of Israel, as an Israelite, but the women that you have done, have you committed these abominations with, what happens is those children are bastards. See what I'm saying? Because there's no covenant with these people. So that's why we have to understand the same cycles happening over and over and over again.
So their mums ours.
Yes, yes, sir. Yes.
And they don't have what? They are not, a bastard is
They're
one
unclean.
who is not just unclean, they are not entitled to an inheritance.
There you go. There you
Yeah,
go.
because they're not a covenant child.
That's right. That's right.
So that is why it's frowned upon having sex out of wedlock, because these children that are produced become bastards, and these bastards have no inheritance. And Yah never wanted his people to be without inheritance.
Yes,
See,
amen.
in verse 1, the loins being cut off is not just physical, but also in a spiritual sense, because your lineage, your you know what I'm saying, is cut.
It is.
Yeah, yeah.
Right, you can't produce.
Reproduce, right.
So that's why it's saying that we shouldn't be running to get vasectomies. Women, you shouldn't be running to get your tubes tied. We should be whole.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
So we can be fruitful and multiply.
Right.
There you go. There
And
you
not
go.
only a physical multiplication.
Exactly.
Do you understand that we win
right.
seed even in the other people,
That's right, that's right.
in the other nations,
That's right, that's right.
through our testimony?
That's right.
Testimony, but not, it was the reason that he said it because it stopped the pureness of
That's right.
Yasharel.
That's why
He says not
exactly.
to go outside.
Exactly.
Isn't Moab still
Still a Hebrew.
right now?
That's right.
Well, because of, isn't that Tamar's daughter? Whose daughter? Who had Moab?
Those are lots. Those are lots
Lot's
kids.
daughter, yes,
Lot's
exactly. They were Abram, but Solomon, he messed with the Moabite women and all.
Ruth was a
She
Moabite.
was, but Yah used her mightily.
You understand? She was still in the bloodline of the covenant.
Exactly.
right, that's
Look, Hebrews are descendants of Eber. They are still in the bloodline. But listen, at Abraham, the bloodline was split, and he started to wean out people to get a specific bloodline
That's right.
for
That's
a
right.
specific person.
That's right.
Because I'm coming back. Lot was not under covenant. He wasn't Hebrew.
Yes, he was a Hebrew.
But Yah separated Abram away from his whole family. So you're saying because he was able to go with him?
His brother died.
Right.
His brother
He
died.
considered him
So
as
he
his son.
had to take him in.
That's what he did. and took
So
care
he
of
was
him.
still
Okay.
under contract.
Okay.
So when we look at the situation with Lot, Lot was considered a son
Of Abram.
of Abram
That's right.
because of the fact that he had to take care of him because he.
It was his brother's son.
Right, it was his brother's son, and his brother was killed.
That's right.
He became the brother. He became the father of
Lot.
Right.
Yes, I get it now.
And
That's
so,
the only way though, because he separated him from the rest of the
why?
Judeans,
But
so-
why did he separate him from the rest of his family?
Because of his faith in Yahuwah.
Right, because the rest of his family were idol worshippers.
Yes, they were. To
But
start a new
but
kingdom
Lot worshipped the Most High Yah.
Yeah, at first, yeah.
because of Abram.
That's right. That's why he followed him.
That's why he followed him.
He followed him.
So he was already taken in. And don't forget,
Yeah.
so we have to remember that even in this covenant, that Moab was cut off because when we came out of Israel, they didn't provide us bread and water.
Right.
They didn't provide us lodging. They did not help us as we were coming out. So they were cut off. Let's go.
Can I say something?
Yes, sir.
So he's cut off. He became estranged.
Right.
So the scripture says if you are a stranger comes back in, he adheres to the contract.
Right.
He came back.
Everybody, look, this is why I want us to stop with this foolishness that we gonna take over the world and we gonna kill off everybody.
Right.
That's not a true statement. That's some camp logic. That's a bald-faced lie. This is the truth, and I'm gonna give you the truth right now. If you are in the other nations and you accept Torah, not Christianity, not Judaism, not none of that other foolishness. If you accept Torah as written and you walk through Scripture, you are grafted in. You are a stranger, and now you are accepted in the covenant because you walked by the covenant. Realize this, that Abraham was accepted because why? He kept the laws, statutes, and
There
commandments.
was no laws. He believed on Yahuwah.
No, there was a law.
What law was it that Abram had? But to have faith in Yahuwah.
Listen to me very closely. The sun comes up, why?
Because it's commanded. Okay, yeah, it's contracted, it's commanded.
Okay.
Remember Adam named the animals, right?
Yes, he did.
Remember Noah took the animals 2 by 2 unclean, 7 by 7 clean.
Correct.
The Most High gave Adam the Sabbath day. The law been on earth from day one.
From day one.
So,
The law was only written. The law was only written by Moses.
Okay.
The law had been in existence from,
prior
listen, from the word "let there
he
be."
is, and that became law.
That's right.
Sister Rita,
Yes.
do you have your Bible with you?
I do. I do.
And I want you to read this.
Okay, where?
I want you to go to Genesis chapter 26, verse 5.
You want me to read out loud?
And this is Yahuwah speaking to Isaac concerning his father, Abraham.
You want me to read it?
Read verse 4 and 5. I'm sorry. Read verse 4 and 5.
And I will make your seed to multiply as the stars of heaven, Shamorim. And I will give unto your seed all these countries, and in your seed shall all nations of the earth be Baruch.
He's talking to Isaac. He's repeating.
Yes, what he told his father. Because that I, Abraham, Shema, obeyed my voice and did guard my watch, here it is, my commandments, my statutes, and my Torah. I got it.
So Torah has been from the beginning.
Amen.
Torah is not a new concept.
Not at all.
But what the church would have you believe, that Torah is a brand new concept, is a brand new construct, and that we don't have to keep it. But my thing is, if Abraham was saved through Torah, what makes you think that keeping it's going to get you saved?
We want it.
Torah existed from the very beginning.
Watchman, may I ask,
Yes.
isn't it because of the blood of Yahusha, believing on the Besaret, the gospel, which gives the other nations the opportunity to be grafted in?
It's actually, okay. Yahusha, find this scripture. I come out before the lost children. Okay, so Yahusha's mission was for one people. Which one?
Came to Yisrael.
He only was only called for one people. His job was to come through the bloodline of Israel. Yahusha's job was to come through the bloodline of Israel and redeem Israel and Israel alone. He did not come for everybody else. That's why when we went in last week and we talked about, so Yah so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. If you look at some other scriptures in the Old Testament or in Torah, it says that the world was Israel, and Israel is the apple of his eye.
Yes.
He's not talking about everything.
Because Israel's job is to cleanse the world and redeem that world.
Right, to be light and to be salt.
Yeah.
So now you're saying that they do not have to be washed in the blood of the Lamb, believe the Bessareh, and be filled with the Ruach to inherit eternal life?
What we're saying is, if they don't follow Torah, hook, line, and sinker,
From Genesis
to Revelations, right? So listen, when you don't follow Torah, you won't see that there was a Messiah, because you won't be able to see the footprint of the Messiah. This is why I always own non-messianics. They don't believe that the Messiah has come, but the Messiah did come in the form of Yahusha.
It's all in Genesis. It's all in Genesis.
Right.
We have to do a lesson on that.
Even the word Baruch, the word Baruch itself speaks of the coming of a son who would redeem us. So when you look at the word Baruch, it means that. So in the beginning, he was talking about the son.
Of course.
Okay, so yes, you have to go through the kinsman redeemer, but so by going through the word, if he says, "Lo, I come in the volume of the book, it is written in me," and if John 1 says, "I am the
word, and the word made flesh,"
right? Then yes, you have to go through him because he is Torah.
But even the patriarch names in Genesis speaks of the Messiah.
Yes,
Even
it does.
even the names.
Yes, he is the beginning.
Yeah.
Yes.
John,
Got that information,
Sister
that revelation. Huh?
Now, I answer your question with scripture all the time.
That's what's up.
Go to John chapter 4, verse 22.
Yeah.
And while you're looking for that, I want you to understand, we coming out of the Christian church, and the Christian church has developed some doctrines of demons.
Right, of course.
Which has given us the mental conditioning of this. The law was given by Moses. Before Moses, there was no law. That's a lie. The dispensations that we teach is a lie.
Yes.
The personal relationship with Jesus Christ is a lie. Read John chapter 4, verse 22. This is what Jesus, the one we call Christian church calls Jesus, this is what Jesus says to the woman of Samaria.
It says, I can start at the, okay, here we go. Yachanan 4 and 22 reads, "Ye worship, ye know not what. We know what we worship. For Yahusha, salvation is of Yahudim."
Of who?
Yahudim.
Who? What?
Go
ahead. You're right. I mean, for emphasis. Yeah. Salvation is of whom?
Salvation is for Yahudim. Yahudim.
It's of Yahoo. It's of us. Coming.
Yes.
It's for, but it's also of. Meaning that Yahudim were called to be a light to the Gentiles. That was from Abraham.
That's what I
So
said.
anybody that's teaching that the Gentiles are condemned forever, whatever. No, that's not true. It's never been true. But what the Christian church has taught us is that salvation is through Jesus. But that ain't what Jesus said to the woman in Samaria.
No, it isn't.
He said salvation is of the Yahudim, because we are the ones who are to bear witness
of the true light, which is Yahusha.
Yes.
So I agree 100%.
Okay.
So,
and can I say this though?
What's
because
that?
I don't want y'all to think that I don't.
No, not at all. That's not our thoughts.
No.
No.
Because when I
I do understand, and I know to be true that it is to us.
Mm-hmm.
He came. We're the first fruits to receive salvation.
Right.
And now, because they rejected Messiah, let his blood be on our hand and on his children, our children's hand. He opened that up to whosoever believes now.
Okay, we run into this thought, and I want to kill this real quick.
Well, because you just said we don't want to be saying that.
No, I want to run into this thought.
Nobody else can be saved.
That's not what it's saying.
That's not what I'm about to say. Okay, I want you to run into this thought. Healing comes through Yahuwah, right?
Correct.
Okay, but it comes through the Yahudim.
Right.
So we got to be right.
That's right.
Exactly.
Because if we're not right, the world is not going to be able to see how they are supposed to carry themselves. Because they miss Messiah.
Yes.
So they need to be looking at us as an example on how to carry ourselves. That's why I fight with them ox in these camps.
Sister.
Hold on, Chauncey. That's why I fight with these ox in these camps, man. Because we are a representation of the Most High Yah. We are a representation of His Son, Yahushua. And I'm not saying that we don't stand up and be bold and we don't be strong. But we're not going to win people cussing folks out.
I agree.
We're not going to be a light to the world cussing. No.
Right.
But what I'm trying to show you is,
Okay.
in that sense, we have to be that light.
That's right.
We have to be those 5 virgins with their oil together.
Exactly.
Amen.
We're not gonna worry about the other 5.
Hallelujah.
And Yah ain't worried about the other 5 because He only knows there's a remnant.
Okay, sister. This is Israel's captivity. Israel's captivity is not totally about judgment. It's about redemption of the whole planet.
Correct. And
That's our.
And that's what I was asking.
Listen. That's the whole point. See, we looking at our captivity as just judgment, right? Adam, the first Adam fell, right?
Correct.
And so sin into the world, right? Then the second Adam came, right?
Correct.
To redeem Israel because Israel's supposed to be a kingdom of priests, right?
Correct.
Now, in Yuchanan and John, right? When when he baptized Yeshua HaMashiach, Yeshua HaMashiach said, go out there and what? Preach the gospel and baptize what?
In the name of Yahushua.
Okay. Now, this was to the 12, right? Okay, now the 12 is that lineage, right? Part of that lineage, right? So in that, that's our job. Our job is to go out there and redeem mankind back to the Father.
Amen.
Yeah. See, so when these guys talking about the other nations can't be saved, they don't understand the Torah. They don't even, because in order for us to fulfill what happened with the first Adam, we had to fall to redeem the whole planet.
Okay, so you're saying Watchman was saying that they had to be saved. They had to do the Torah.
Who that? What you said?
Watchman said
The other nations,
Yeah.
So doing the Torah is believing the book, the instructions, and the righteousness. Doing this way of Yah, not just the feast or the bastards not being able to go to the temple or the other 600 laws that our forefathers could not keep.
Thank you. That's
what
we wanted to get to. That's what we wanted to get to.
Dude, first of all, Abraham kept the law.
You said.
Okay?
Moses kept the law.
Yes.
Moses kept Torah.
Mm-hmm.
David kept Torah. He sinned. Listen, we all sin, but we keep Torah.
That's right.
Okay.
Exactly.
Josiah,
Elijah, Joshua,
Enoch,
All of them.
the disciples. So that lie that the church tells you that we can't keep 613 laws is a lie.
It's a lie.
We are governed by over 4,000 laws in this country.
Just on gun control.
You're right.
And we
Just
keep
gun
them.
control.
Just gun control.
And we keep them.
See.
So So, yes.
So when a question I always ask when people come to the conclusion that maybe we can't keep all the law, in the law there is the law of remedy.
That's right.
So when
Right.
it gives us an opportunity to make a mistake
Right.
and then restore it. That's what we
Right.
talked about today.
Yes,
was
yes.
If you make a mistake, go to the Father, fix it. He says no, you still pay this remedy and go about your business.
Right.
So in the law of keeping, there is
Yes.
error availability to so
Right.
we may
This-
learn.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's what we can do.
Exactly.
Right?
To edify what the sister's saying. See, our fathers had hard hearts.
Yes.
Yeshua HaMashiach
Yes.
came to give us charity, give us understanding how to make Torah functional. See, so when our people say we can't keep it, now let's make this make sense. The Most High, in His own word, says, a double-minded man is unstable in his own ways, right? So why would the Most High give us something we couldn't keep?
I hear you. I hear you.
And what does the word keep mean? First of all, to you, what does the word keep mean?
To keep is to complete, to do, to make sure that you, well, you asked me what I mean to
And I'm about to tell you.
Okay.
Okay, so
You be shaking your
what you're saying is abstract.
Okay.
So I want you to get into a Hebraic thought.
Okay.
The
and
word.
I want to tell you all that's what
Yeah,
I'm
God,
learning.
that's
I
right.
believe
Brother Matt,
why
God,
That's what we're all
Abba
learning.
brought me here
Yeah.
to be
That's
with
right.
you because He knows my heart.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
And
right.
He knows I want to learn to obey Him
Yes.
more.
That's right.
Because I choose Him.
That's right.
So
That's right. That's right.
let
That's
me-
right.
100%.
Let me show you the Hebraic thought in that. To keep something in the Western mind is to follow it, to complete it, and to get it done. But in the Hebraic thought, to keep something means to guard,
That's
defend,
what
or
you go
protect.
Guard, defend, and protect.
That's right. That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, though, brother
Huh?
Matt.
What's going on?
So today we sung Shema, right?
Right.
Or Shemar. It means to watch and to keep.
Right.
To keep,
So the
just to
concept,
obey.
right, to obey. And
That's right.
who are we all to watch? Right? Well, He gave us the example to watch so that we may walk after that light.
That's right.
And then become that ourselves. So when we keep or we watch and we're doing this every day, there's error, there's darkness, we're bringing light to you, all that stuff. But in general, the walk and the journey is lit by the person that was our watchman.
Ooh,
Remember
glory.
when we did the
right.
evil was, they watched too, the evil side watches too, but in mischief, to set our snares.
Cunning.
But the other side, the cunning beast, our adversary. But on this side,
Bless you, brother Matt. Bless
our
you. Bless you.
watchfulness is to make sure our safety, that's the law, to protect us on our journey to where we're supposed to go.
So
Big
guard,
picture. Big
defend,
picture.
and protect.
Correct.
Yes,
To
yes.
guard, defend, and protect. So when He said, if you love me, keep my commandments, He said, if you love me, guard, defend, and protect these things.
That's right.
Not only with your walk, but with your life.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
Amen.
So when people say you can't work your way into heaven, you a lie. You got to defend this. You got to defend. You got to walk out your
Can
own
I say one more
salvation.
day? Can I say one more thing, my
You
brother?
got me, bro.
Okay, sister. If there's a judgment day, and we deal with righteous Elohim, right? How can He judge us if there's no law?
Exactly. He has to have something
He has to have,
go by.
he has to have something to go by. See what I'm saying? So we have to understand the adversary has done everything as to stumble us. He calls it a stumbling block. So we have to understand that this is not hard. What it is we're just waking up, right? We agree, we're just waking up. What we have to do is we have to scrub, like the brother said earlier. We have to scrub everything. He said that. We got to scrub everything that we have learned. Approach this with a new mindset. So we have to scrub everything that we was taught. And now we're going back to the Hebraic concept of the mindset from a cultural perspective.
Yeah, that's it.
See what I'm saying?
I hear you.
You know, so but anyway, that's all I want to say.
So go ahead,
Big
Ryan.
picture. Big picture. I'm going to answer. I'm going to address this real quick, and then we'll get to your question. Big picture. We're all in various stages of coming out of
That's right,
what
that's
I
right,
call
that's right,
Christianity,
that's
the
right.
teaching, the doctrine of demons. Okay. When we talk about the law, okay, we talk about the elements of the law. Now, the elements of the law that we could not keep, and this is what the book of Hebrews is about. The elements of the law that we could not keep, that we could not perform, that were out of our wheelhouse, that were out of our ability, the laws of the Levitical priesthood and the laws of the sacrifice.
That's right.
Our Hamashiach became our sacrifice.
That's right.
Because it was not possible that the blood of bulls and goats could take away sin.
Say
He
it.
took care of that.
That's right.
Also, the Levitical priesthood.
Had
The
experience.
problem with the Levitical priesthood was that it was temporary. That even the Levites that were offering up sacrifices were sinners. And so Hamashiach came And he is our high priest after the order of Melchizedek.
That's right. That's right.
He handled those two elements of the law. But when we talk about the moral law, adultery, thou shalt not commit adultery, we can't keep that. Remember the Sabbath to keep it holy? We can't keep that.
Honor your parents,
right.
And all the
So,
not
okay.
to bow down to any graven images. All
Right.
of
The
it.
royal law, we can keep that. The dietary law, we can keep that.
Yeah, we can.
Don't eat that.
Right.
Eat
right.
this, don't eat that. We can keep that. Okay? The civil law that we're reading about marriage, about, we can keep that.
Amen. Amen.
You know what I'm saying? But what we've been talking about, and I don't want to get too far, but I want to get away from this. What the Greeks and the Romans have taught us, that European theology have taught us, you don't need the law.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
And you can't keep the law.
Hold on.
But it's a lie from the pit.
Listen, but see, we have to go like brother said. This book is a covenant. It's a contract. It's a trust. If you don't operate in trust, if you don't operate in contract, if you don't operate, you can't get no inheritance. What are we trying to get? The kingdom. We're trying to get inheritance. You can't get that without that. You have to have law.
The new heaven and listen, y'all. The new heaven and the new earth is our inheritance for walking upright in Torah on this side.
That's right.
Keeping the instructions.
That's
Right. So when we keep the instructions, we guard these things with our lives, knowing that our reward is not here on this side, but on the other side.
That's right. That's right.
And we don't want to say up in heaven because heaven's going to be here.
It's going to be here. It's here. Right. That's right. It's here.
Right.
I know it. Then the New Jerusalem is coming down from Shalom.
Well, this is right here. I had a question. This is right
Yes,
here.
Mom.
Thank you.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes, mother.
We came out of the church and we went into the synagogue.
Yes, ma'am.
We messed around with a lot of messianics.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, some of them a little Talmudic and some not so much. But that's the first place that we heard about the 613 laws. So I'm always a curious person. I want to know what it is and who wrote it and where it came from. So when I did my research, I found out that according to what I researched, 8 or 9 rabbis put this all together. I don't know if they were Talmudic or not, probably so. So then I wanted to know what the laws were. So I started reading the laws on the internet. A lot of the references that they used was the law that was there didn't line up with the law. In other words, if they had Deuteronomy 20 verse 2 and they said this is the law, it had nothing to do with the script.
Yes.
So then I just decided that Craig always says, he told us to keep the law, he didn't tell us to count the law, and I don't know if there's 613 or 750, but the 613 that I found came from rabbis.
So when we
Let me ask you this for 1 second. When Yeshua HaMashiach was talking about to the Sadducees, the Pharisees, the Talmud was on earth then. It came from Babylonian. See what I'm saying? So they was already outside of Torah already. See what I'm saying? So what they try to do, they try to infuse a lot of the stuff together. But from the foundation, I mean, like you said, we don't sit down and count, but we just use that as a premise.
that's just a number.
It's just a premise.
So it's basically fulfilled in the 10 to love y'all with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength, which he tells us not to bow down to any graven image, not to take his name in vain, to honor him with everything, and then the other 4 or 5, honor your parents, do not commit adultery, do not lie, steal, or covet my neighbor. It's all wrapped up in loving Yah and loving my neighbor as myself,
That's right.
correct?
The first 4 had to do with Yah.
to do with Yah.
Yes.
Okay,
And then
then the
even
other
Sabbath,
6,
and then the other 4,
and then the other
is
5,
going with us.
right? So you have a laws concerning the king,
Yes.
and then laws concerning your brother. So we have a civil portion concerning our brothers, and so when we go through Deuteronomy and we look at the conduct for us concerning our brothers, we should not owe our brothers anything. If we borrow money from our brothers, we should pay that money back. We can't sit up here and say there ain't no money. You know, because
that's
we got this.
Yes, you gotta do.
Currency is currency.
Yes.
Whatever you get
Exactly,
is what you
taxes,
get.
exactly.
You can't put taxes on people unworthily. These things are covered, but they break these things down in a way so you can get a better understanding of them. Okay? Now, my goal is not to count the numbers, and I understand, but my goal is to lead you back to the book. And realizing that you have to keep something, and it's in this script. And if you learn the first 5 books of this and you guard it, your chances of making it in are a whole lot better than they are being put out.
That's right, that's right. We have to realize this, the law was not just punishment and regulations, but it was protection. Like the brother mentioned about, dealing with taxes, owing a debt, things of that nature, law of inheritance. So once we understand the principles of this here, you can see the foundation of how to build a govern, how to govern yourself to be self-governed. Like people talk about sovereignty, that's what that's about. It's about being sovereign, self-governing. Well, if you judge yourself, I won't have to judge you, right? The principle, the foundation is to build a nation. You know what I'm saying? Like, gather thyself together, O nation thy desire. If you come back to this book, you can begin the building blocks to build a nation.
Yes.
You know?
Okay, so right now we're 2 hours in, and I want to explain something real quick. We've already debunked the fact that sex ain't marriage.
Correct.
Sex ain't marriage. Next week, I want to go into this a little bit deeper because we'll have more time. But we want to break down the facts. We need to break down what a whore is, because right now Israel, or Yisrael, is playing the role of the harlot.
That's right, that's right, that's right.
We have taken on other gods, ones of wood and of stone. And so we have whored ourselves out to dead beings and not to the Most High Yah. The first time you were introduced to who you thought the Most High was, it was on a cross and it was made of wood. And then other ones were introduced to a big square in Saudi Arabia. And that's what we walk around. So in closing for this week, I want y'all to, what verse are we on?
It was at 24, I think, huh?
Okay,
24.
we're gonna start back at 23 next week,
Yes.
and we're gonna finish eating from this plate, because this is good food. This is good food. Now, what I want y'all to do, I want y'all to do some research for me. I passed out some papers to y'all. I want you to read over it. I want you to read over it, I want you to study over it, and I want you to finish reading the rest of Deuteronomy 22. Yes.
Let's next week try to have some questions answered online.
Yeah.
So if there's any questions, sister, what we'll do, we'll take some time periodically and just read some of the questions so we can answer some of the questions online next week as well.
We want to be a fully functional ministry. I do not want to be preaching at folks. I left the church a long time ago, and I'm going to tell you, just for those who are here for the first time that don't know me, I was an apostle in the church. I had 5 churches under me. I was assistant. I was the second man in charge. I left all of that because my soul and the soul of my wife and the soul of my kids was more important. When I started telling them we need to start keeping the feast days, when I told them about the tithe, that was the big one. That one cut my water off. When I started telling them that we couldn't take tithes no more. Listen, I'm not saying that you don't donate. As a matter of fact, since we own this, if you can donate to our ministry, if you go to my page, if you're on Brother Malak's page, Let me just write down my.
And I'll put a link on the brother's page on this after this video. I'll put a link to his.
He'll put a link up, but it's Jeremy Yahoo Ben almost forgot how to spell my own name. That's just like a black fool. Go on YouTube, look up this page, like, subscribe.
And again, like I said, I'll add his link at the bottom of this video after it's over, after this video.
And you can also look me up under that name on Facebook too. Monica, if you're in the room, if you can figure out a way to share the link to my YouTube page, can you please put it up? Listen, it is an honor and a privilege to serve you guys. Look.
Thank you, Monica. Thank you. She just put it up.
Okay, thank you.
Monica.
It is a privilege and an honor to serve y'all. I don't do this because I'm getting paid, because I'm not. We travel around the country with the ARC, the Awakening Remnant Coalition, based out of Fresno. This costs not only myself, but it costs, and it's a tax on the members here at the ARC to help us get this word out. But we believe in what the Most High is doing here. And we believe that it is our duty as Yasharella to wake up the rest of our brothers and sisters that are asleep. Yes. So we're not trying to bash, we're not trying to beat up on folks, because that ain't us. That's not how we present ourselves, and that's not how we're going to be here. This is a place of refuge. So if you are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and you're looking for a place to worship, send us your information. You can reach us at the ARC DFW on gmail.com. The ARC DFW at gmail.com. We will get back with you. We want to build Jacob. And to you sisters that have been in these camps and have been ravaged and have been treated wrong and have been tossed and thrown away, we want to make this a safe place for you. You don't have to worry about that. We got 5 men here right now, 5 old men that ain't worried about nothing but building some property. We ain't worried about y'all. We worried about what we gonna leave here for the next generation. We ain't worried about what we trying to make. All right? We done all made as many kids, hopefully. Now I won't say hopefully, we done all made a bunch of children. So we had a different part, and we had a different mindset in this thing. We about building Yasharel, not tearing her down and not defiling our sisters. Because we know in defiling the sisters, we defile ourselves. Yes. So as we close, we're gonna close in prayer. Most High Yah, we thank you. We thank you for your son, Yahushua. We thank you for the blood that was shed for us. We thank you that you cared enough for us to redeem us. Through the bloodline of our grandfathers, you decided to send a seed, a perfect seed, one that was anointed and that would take on the burdens of the world so that we may have a chance at life. Yah, we give you honor and praise. We ask that this word go forth and that it touches those who needs to touch. Yah, build and let them eat from it, and let them be renewed and be strengthened by the word. For it is by your word that we have life and we have it more abundantly. So Yah, we ask right now that you would just continue to move in our situation, help and prepare the members of the ARC as we move forward to be a light into the masses. And we just thank you for your love. We thank you for your grace, and we thank you for your mercy. And we close by saying, hallelujah.
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 Amen.
Torah.